Hey there, I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. Bill and I are here tonight, and Stephanie will be in shortly. And we are pretty much at a loss for words after the really active conversation that was going on in Stupid O'Clock. That was a whole lot of fun. I mean, seriously, a lot of fun. If you have not watched Last Man Standing, please go to the YouTube channel. Play it, like, subscribe, go back through 2 years worth of shows. Some of them are wonderful, and very, very few are stellar. Okay, and the rest are entertaining. So it's a win-win situation. We're wild and crazy sort of people, and have wild and crazy conversations. Never can tell what we're going to say. Even we don't know what the next words out of our mouth are going to be. So, and this is, or has been, the official after party for Stupid O'Clock. It started off as the after party once the cameras stopped rolling on Stupid O'Clock, and there came a time when Joe Dog and John wanted to call it quits at this time of night, and I was going, "Hey, I'm still awake. Can I do my own little thing here with the after show?" And they go, "Please do." So let that be a warning. You can always get your wish, but it may not turn out the way you wished it to be.
But you can get your kicks on Route 66. Dan, take your microphone and raise it a little bit. It's rustling in your beard.
No, I didn't have the darn headset tilted back.
There you go.
It was messing up my hair.
Oh, boy.
Like I care about that.
Well, headsets are barrettes for guys who don't wear hats. And
for geeks, yeah. Well, I do wear hats. Really, the only reason I don't have a hat on right now is because the headset would not fit over it comfortably. But neither here nor there.
At the time, but
well, I don't wear ball caps anymore. Well, not most of the time. I've still got 20 or 30 of the darn things, but most of the time I will be putting this bugger on, which,
little Greek fisherman's cap there.
I got the original one at a charity shop in Portsmouth, England, my wife's hometown. And I think I paid 50 pence for it. And it lasted me for about 10 years and started finally falling apart at the seams. And I went ahead and found a website that I could order them online. That one's about one size, maybe two sizes too small. I was not exactly sure of my hat size. Although I did measure my head, apparently I didn't do it correctly. My head's a little bit bigger, or maybe my head swelled in the interim from all the praise for doing the show. Or maybe it might have been somebody asked me for an autograph on a book. I don't know. My head swells. So
I've actually owned that similar style of hat one time in my life. I had it, I guess I was a teenager still, because the only reason why I bought it was because John Lennon wore one in Hard Day's Night. And I thought, oh, how cool. That would be the hat to wear. And
oh, well, that was
I think I had it for about a year.
That was the main reason that Lindsay wanted to subscribe to Disney Plus to watch the Beatles. What was it? You knew what it was. I can't. The words are not coming.
Well, the one that the Peter Jackson one with all the outtakes from Let It Be.
Yeah, that sounds like it's right. Yeah,
because the first one I mentioned was Ron Howard 8 Days a Week, which came out few years back, but I couldn't remember. But I posted the original Let It Be documentary in the artwork of Bill Sarton. I want to say a week or two ago.
So that was
And
basically the rooftop concert.
mhm,
Okay.
a lot of talking in that. Want to say it's about 74, 76 minutes long, somewhere around there. So when it was actually shown at the theater, that's the one you saw. And of course, I never got to see that at the theater, much less any of the other ones, but still.
Well, from what my wife tells me, this this new documentary is several hours long.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which could be very interesting or very boring or a little of both. You never know.
well,
But it'll get you more into the heart of what people were going through at the time, and particularly George Harrison. I would think more than anything else, that would be the main reason why I would watch it.
well, you've got to remember that Lindsay's oldest daughter is named Michelle after the Beatles song, so
Mm-hmm.
She's had this connection for a long, long time.
I had a friend that used to collect turtles when we were kids, and he would name the turtles after Beatles songs.
Oh, okay.
So he had one named Jude, he had one named Lucy, so on and so forth. He had a Michelle, he had an Anna, and then out of the blue, he came out with this one turtle, and I said, "Well, what Beatles song are you going to name that after?" And he goes, "The Inner Light." I'm like, how? And he would always refer.
That work?
Yeah, really. I mean, he'd always refer to it as Inner Light. Well, the Inner Light, he wandered off, and he's in the woods somewhere. So I hope he's happy and getting plenty of food or whatever. It was just. But
we had one of those little silver dollar size turtles that you buy at a convenience store or whatever.
Yeah, I remember those.
And we finally took it out to the creek behind my mom's house and let it go. It was pretty much the size of a Thanksgiving turkey platter by that time. It would not fit in a normal fish tank. We had grown it enormous. I mean, this thing, we should have named it Gamera because it kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. My youngest stepdaughter, when I was married back in the 90s, she was a total animal lover, and it didn't matter what it was. Mm-hmm. And so, she had dogs. We had some, they were feral cats, but she claimed all of them, gave all of them names. A couple of Russian hamsters, so on and so forth. So here one day we had this big, huge, beautiful maple tree out in the backyard that I put a little swing on it for both of my stepdaughters. At the time, the oldest one was 10, youngest one was 7. And the youngest one was out there by herself, sitting under the tree, and I seen her holding this turtle and kind of looking like she was talking to it or whatever, but I couldn't hear her. But I was helping my wife do dishes or something or other, and we were in the kitchen. Then out of the blue, I hear this blood-curdling scream.
The turtle bit her.
And yeah, she come running up with her hands over her face like this, blood gushing out from between her fingers, scaring us both half to death. She come in after we're trying to mop up blood and clean her up, and it took her probably almost 10 minutes for her to calm down enough for us to find out what's going on. She kissed the turtle, and the turtle kissed her back by piercing her upper lip completely through. We, of course, took her. Well, the closest emergency room was in Clinton, Indiana, which was about 20 minutes away, but they had a clinic, a walk-in clinic in town at the time, and so we took her there. Long story short, I said, "Is she going to need stitches?" And he said, "It wouldn't hurt, but possibly. I don't think if you watch what she does with it, she'll be okay." I said, "We'll watch, because the blood curdling scream that she had when the turtle bit her, it'll be 3 times as loud if you try to put a stitch in her lip."
Bill, I'm sorry, but I've got to make an emergency dash. If you have any of your recent cartoons handy, like you posted on Uncle Carl's Secret Humor Group or your own pages or anything, just feel free to demonstrate your fantastic artwork, and I will be back in just as quick as I can. So
no problem.
I hate to leave you hanging, but I don't have a hail pail. So
yeah, I understand. You go right ahead. Sadly, I do not have any of my sketches around me. Obviously, I have plenty of toys and computer stuff, and even have my bed over there that I'm looking at and wondering why I'm not in my wonderful, comfy bed that I could be going to sleep right now as we speak. But no, we're on the show here, but I will talk about my artwork. Yes, I do draw. And if you go to the artwork of Bill Sarton, you'll see what I draw. Or if you are a personal friend of mine on Facebook, you'll also see what I draw there, because I post daily content, whether it be a new sketch or something that I drew a while back, and I repost it, because I have almost 500 sketches now, and they are available for sale. I use PayPal, which is a safe and secure way for you to get a hold of something of mine that you really, really like, as far as one of my original sketches, or even if a particular sketch the original sketch had sold, but you like it, I still have prints available at a discount. But either way, if you PM me, I can give you details on that. And today I did actually both. I did a repost of a sketch that I did a few years ago of Amy Pond, which is this girl right here behind me, this redheaded girl. She's my favorite Doctor Who companion. And I was kind of playing around with pastels that day when I drew her. So go on my personal page or my artwork page, you could see that. And also, too, I did do a new sketch this evening after I got through with my day of hell, which we won't talk about that. But anyway, today is Porky Pig's birthday, from the first appearance of Porky Pig. So I did a nice little color sketch of Porky and posted that up there for the bonus sketch of the day. And I should know Porky Pig's first appearance and what year that is, but I don't remember. I just know that it's his birthday today, and I did a sketch for him.
I saw that. It was truly excellent. I don't think a Facebook post does it justice, actually. But you do very, very good work. And if anybody has not checked out Bill's artwork, you really should. The man is astounding. So just, you might think he's entertaining when he's talking. He's entertaining even more so when he's drawing. So let that be a lesson to you. People have hidden depths that you might not understand just by a quick perusal of a video. And thank you very much, Phil, for holding forth there. I really
Oh, no, no problem. No problem.
there's
I kept looking over at my bed, though, and I was slowly kind of getting hypnotized. And then I thought, oh, no, wait a minute. We're doing a live show. Can't go there yet. I
I,
don't know if
I
I'm going to hold out the full 2 hours, but I thought,
oh
well,
no,
I've got to get it. I'm feeling a little better. I ran a little bit of a cough after I got out of the hospital,
hmm
but that I thought, oh, did I pick up a bug there? Because I've done that before and not realized it till I got out. But as it turns out, it's just my stupid sinus drainage that I'm always using my Kleenex a
uh,
thousand times a day.
I understand completely. Believe me, I'll go through a box of Kleenex in a week because when I get up every morning, sinuses start draining and they
Hmm.
don't stop until, almost lunchtime. And I'm going, um, is it pollen season already?
See, that's the thing, Dan. I, I'm not allergic to a blessed thing in the world.
Mm,
Now, they say you can pick up allergies later on, and I've been trying. The one specialist I went to see last summer, I almost begged and pleaded for him to run some tests. And all he really wanted to do was prescribe meds to me, none of which worked. Now I'm on it's cetirizine, which is generic Zyrtec.
hmm
I won't say that it's drying up my sinuses, but it is helping. So I'll continue, and I only take one a day in the morning, and I'll continue to do that as long as it continues to help. But I would love to find something that'll dry them up altogether because I've never had those problems before, unless I had a cold or something.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie is here and I'm about to bring her in. So there we go.
There we go.
There's the rocket mama.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry I was late for this one too, but I needed to go get me something to eat. I
oh,
hadn't had much to eat today.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. When the calorie intake is insufficient because you've been too busy, your body has a way of going, hey, pay attention. Yeah, really. You want to faint on air? Go right ahead.
Stephanie,
Otherwise,
didn't that
peanut
sound
butter and
like
jelly
wood when you did
sandwich
that?
time.
It did actually.
I think he was hitting his headset, but Dan, it surely sounded like wood when you were hitting yourself in the head.
Yeah, well, my nose doesn't grow, no matter how many lies I tell. Otherwise,
No,
well,
we
no,
were.
we will not go there. I know that cartoon. So, oh heavens, I just derailed myself here.
Sorry.
Ah, no, don't be sorry. It's my own bizarre mind that does these
So,
things to me.
what you were talking about, what Lindsay wants to see with the Peter Jackson Let It Be, has that already been released, or is there still a
As
release date yet?
as far as I know, I haven't the faintest idea. She wanted to subscribe to Disney Plus because that's where she could see it,
Mhm.
and she is absolutely uh, a fanatic about the Beatles, most
Oh, me too.
particularly John Lennon. Uh, just just a hair under that would be George Harrison, and she's also she grew up with um, well, I never pronounce his name correctly. Mark Bolan from T Rex on
Hmm.
TV when she was a child. Then Mark Bolan. Yeah, okay.
I'm
Now I remember.
just a Jeepster for your love.
Uh huh. And it, believe me, when she found out I had 15 or 20 T Rex albums, she went absolutely gaga. I wore out a rubber band on the record player, playing the stuff on the stereo in the living room. I've got one back here that I can have hooked up to the computer, and
Mhm.
it's a belt drive too. I can't find a direct drive turntable anymore. I mean, what happened to BSR? They used to make these gear driven turntables that would never wear out. The only thing you ever had to do was replace the needle every 5 years.
So are these new Crosley turntables and all this that they're coming out now for the hipsters,
I
all
haven't the
belt driven?
I haven't the faintest idea. The only ones I can find are belt driven,
Hmm.
and I've got a Kenwood in the living room that I got from a fellow who was pre med back in college in the 70s.
Mhm.
Evidently, what happened was he went out and bought this marble top Kenwood record turntable. And then he started dating a girl. And his mama got mad that he was wasting all the time that he should be studying for pre med on a female.
Mm.
So while he was asleep one day, she went into his room, picked up this 30-pound turntable over her head, threw it down on the floor, busted it into three pieces to punish him for wasting time on a female
Mhm.
instead of studying for medical college. Next day, he went out with her credit card and bought the next most expensive Kenwood turntable
Don't
and
blame me.
he gave me this one. I had to run a couple of wires across the broken breadboard circuit board of the turntable. Had to glue the three pieces of the marble top turntable in order, and it has been serving me well since 1978, 79. Except for the fact that it is incredibly difficult to find the rubber bands to drive the
Mm.
turntable. They stretch after about 4 or 5 years. They stretch.
Right.
The records slow down and wobble and warble, and the sound degrades. Um,
And they dry rot too.
they do it that they do it that, and I need to replace the one in the living room. And I'm going to hate the time when I have to figure out what size of one to get for this new turntable that I've got back here that's hooked up to the computer. I
Let's look
really
at
should use it more often because Lindsay did buy it for me as a Christmas present one year, and I used it about 6 or 8 months because it's hooked up to the computer. I can play a record, and it's got a program with it that will, every time it changes songs, it will start a brand new MP3 file, so you can copy an entire album
We have a
Mm.
to
cameo.
MP3. Yeah,
We have
but
a cameo appearance.
yes, Elron.
He didn't like me holding him close enough for the camera to pick him up and show on screen. So now
Well,
he's giving me a glare.
Velcro Kitty will find his place.
He will.
Mm,
He's still down here beside me.
yeah,
He's right here
he's just camera shy
tonight. Yes.
tonight. Yes. Hey, anytime he can walk across your lap and flick his tail across the camera, yeah, he'll do that.
Well, Dan, I think there's got to be some Facebook groups, kind of support groups of people that swap information as far as places that you can buy this and that, because I know the product still has to be out there for
Mhm.
this stuff. I know it used to be when turntables were slowly becoming a thing of the past and everything was all cassette and CD, and they were like, well, I'm going to get rid of my turntable. Well, why? Well, because eventually I'm going to wear this needle out and you won't be able to get them anymore. And that was the biggest lie in the world, because there's places all over the world where
Mhm.
you can get any kind of needle for any kind of phonograph, no matter whether it's 30 years old or 60, 70 years old. I mean,
Exactly.
it does matter.
Exactly. And matter of fact, we had one of those little play school record players
Mhm.
that my brother and sister and I wore the needle out, and I restructured it out of super glue and took a emery board and sanded it down. It was not a sapphire like the original, but
Mhm.
it was perfectly functional and it did not damage the record. Now, if you want to go back to antiques, it is perfectly possible to take basically what is a small hat pin, one of those
Mhm.
big headed straight pins, and bend the pin with a pair of needle nose pliers and play a vinyl record, and it will sound fantastic.
Mhm.
But being as it is steel, it will eventually carve the vinyl out of the grooves of the record, and you will have the sounds of silence by somebody far older than the Simon and Garfunkel.
Now, of course, Sarah Heiser done left, but if she was still here, and maybe Saturday, we can see if she'll actually tell the story when she was a child. This is the story I've been told about her. Of course, well, I'm 59 and she's older than I by about a decade or so. But anyway, the Battle of New Orleans by Jimmy Horton was really popular at the time when she was a child, and she had the 45 of it. She loved this record. And because she loved the record, she would continuously to play it and play it and play it and play it. And the story is that she eventually wore down the grooves to where it was flat, that when you put the needle on the part of the 45 to play it, it would just go all the way
Yep,
across.
that is exactly
And
right.
yeah, I never knew if that was actually possible with a 45 RPM record or not, but it sure made for a great story, though.
Yep. Yes, indeed you can. Indeed you can. With a steel needle, you can blank a record. And I don't mean any curse word by that. I mean you can
Right.
play it so much that it carves the grooves of the recording right out of the vinyl, and you wind up with nothing but a static hiss across the entire thing.
Now, I'm wondering if there's any way that not you or I or Stephanie, but um, if you took it to a professional and you say, hey, I got this 45 of the Battle of New Orleans by Jimmy Horton, and this is what happened to it, if they could actually regroove it or find what was in there, or it's gone.
Oh no, it's gone. It's gone.
Okay.
Vinyl. Once you actually have carved the plastic out of the groove of the vinyl where the vibrations of the sound are kept, and that's all it's no different from the Edison wax cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the sound vibrations make a little squiggle, and when you put the needle back through that squiggle, it vibrates again, and the horn reproduces it. It's that's all it's ever been. That's all it's ever been, except for the addition of electronics to make it, rattle the neighbor's windows in the next family.
Yeah.
But no. But nowadays, you can go on YouTube and see an animated video of the song
Mm.
and go, "Oh, I have the little widget where I can click save, and it will copy this and put it in my computer as an MP3." And people go, "Oh, that's piracy!" And you go, doesn't seem to be. I mean, is the man around for me to play to pay for
Yeah.
playing this, or is it just, you know, his great grandchildren's estate or whatever? I don't know. That's a legal question, which I will leave to people that think legally.
But
I
you
don't
know, the kids today, the whole reason why uh, vinyl outsold CDs and came really close to MP3s and that, or digital downloads, was simply because they wanted the static and the pops and the cracks back in. They think that's cool now.
Well, it's not only that, but the vinyl records are not ultra compressed and loudened, so that you actually get a finer detail of sound from a vinyl album than you would from a CD or from an MP3, because those things have been electronically pushed to their limits. And whereas vinyl is basically, it's what the producer wanted it to sound like. And that's what the reproduction in every vinyl record is what the record producer, say, the Alan Parsons for the Beatles or whoever, that's what went on the master tapes, and the best you could translate it to vinyl, that was what vinyl was. And then you get to CDs, you've got all these electronic tricks you can play with it that it'll smash things together and boost levels up, and just it will fill spaces in the sound that were not there in an original studio recording done on tape or even done digitally nowadays. But the MP3 and the CDs have been processed so much that they're not exactly corresponding to the original intent of the artists. I mean, there are places where you want things to be quiet instead of blasting your eardrums out, and then there are places where you want it to blast your eardrums out, but you don't want the I hate to say distortion, because it's not distortion, but it's well, it's an artifact of the compression in the elevated volume levels that most things come with nowadays. It's a difference between an old movie soundtrack and the THX from a movie theater in quintaphonic sound that just, before the movie starts, you're deaf, so you can't hear any of the characters because it went wah! Right in your ears from a block away, because the cheap seats are always way back from the screen. Oh, but there are things that you can play that will test your stereo to find out whether or not it is actually reproducing true sound, or if it's been extra processed. Something like Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bills. If you could find an album copy of that and play it, it sounds quite a bit different from the digital recordings of it, because there's a whole lot more silence. There's a whole lot more quietness in the original recording than there is in the new digital reproductions of that recording. And that's an amazing work of art in itself, right there. You can actually find that as a live concert on YouTube. and sit and listen to the entire album and see Mike Oldfield play all this different stuff.
Hmm.
When it gets to side two, when he's playing like 20 different instruments at the same time, but it's all overdubs on the album. He basically he's doing like somebody who's out busking now. He's got a recorder going, and he's playing one thing. Well, this was done in a time where it was recorded and played back, which gives him time to pick up a different instrument and start in on what would have been an overdub in the studio, but it's live, so um, it just layers itself out so beautifully well. And that's one of the most fascinating albums I have ever listened to.
I used to own the 33 of that, and you buy it because you think, oh, the Exorcist theme's on it, and then you have it, you listen to it, probably doing things in the background
Mm-hmm.
or reading your comic book or whatever, and then it goes on to the next one, and then the next one, and I'm like, wow, there's more to this album
Yeah.
than what I thought, and it got to be where I would want to listen to the other things more than I did the Exorcist theme.
Yep. And the radio airplay, like a 45 version, the radio airplay version, which was basically just the bits that were from the soundtrack to The Exorcist. Once you've heard that and you think that's all there is, and then you discover all the rest of it, it's like, I thought See Emily Play was the best thing that Pink Floyd ever did, but then I discovered Dark Side of the Moon.
Mm-hmm. Well, what really gets me, speaking of playing edited versions of things that would be radio friendly, when somebody is saying, coming up next, Chicago, and you hear the do 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 do, and you're like, all right, 25 or 64, great, 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 and you find out it's the edited 45 version that takes out the entire wah-wah guitar solo by Terry Kath, which is the main point for the song anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect bridge, and it just, how they ever came with that for a 45 version of it, I don't know, but it was severely butchered.
It had to be cut down for radio airplay. And I mean,
right, but it could have been done a little bit nicer, though.
Back in the day, everything had to be cut down for radio airplay. There was a time limit, and if you went over that, you were either Edgar Winter or you got cut, basically,
And do you remember all the K-Tel albums that used to come out that had 20 biggest hits from the biggest stars? It's Hit Machine, and you go and you think, oh wow, that's got Elton John, and it's got Kiss, and it's got Captain and Tennille, and all these groups and stuff. And you get ready and you
sound-alikes.
And well, no, these were K-Tel always were very good about saying actual songs by the actual stars, because there were so many of the other ones who, I can't remember if it was Ronco or some of the lesser name ones that were the sound-alikes.
Yes.
These were the actual songs by the actual groups. However,
highly edited, weren't they?
Oh, K-Tel, yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't like it was originally a long song. We're not talking Hey Jude here. We're not talking Stairway to Heaven. We're talking what might be typically a 3-minute song that got cut down to about 1:45. And it was horrible what they did to some of those songs.
I know. imagine my surprise when I found out that Tommy James and the Shondells actually did songs that were 3 minutes long instead of a minute long.
Mm. Well, you know, when the Ramones first came out,
2 minutes
they
was
said,
the limit. Yep.
yeah, because they were, well, everybody was living in the world of album rock extended cut songs,
Hmm.
which some were great, obviously, but then some not so much. And they wanted to get back to the roots of rock and roll,
Yep.
and they put their little punk spin on it and that. But I mean, that's what got everybody's attention when they went to CBGB's with the Damned or Blondie or one of the Talking
Yeah.
Heads, one of the other groups back in the early days, and that because of the just the it's getting on 2 minutes, so it's about the end of their song.
Really, they're going to have to change songs here. People are getting tired of doing the pogo to this one. They're going to do the pogo to the next one. Yeah.
Right. And now eventually they would come out with some albums. I'm trying to think of the one that Phil Spector produced. Thinking that was the end of the century that came out in 1980.
It could be.
And that were longer than 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. The Ramones actually did an excellent cover of Needles and Pins, and it was full length. It was not chopped up. It was full length. Another band that covered the same song was Flaming Groovies, and then Uncle Cracker came along and started covering Flaming Groovies songs and did the same version of Needles and Pins.
Mm-hmm.
And that just blew me away when I found that one out.
When I was young, speaking of cover versions of songs, I remember getting Olivia Newton-John album where she covered George Harrison's "If Not For You" from All Things Must Pass. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, I tried to line up both of the songs to where it sounded like they were singing a duet, but it was not the same tempo or speed or anything.
The tempo of each recording was different, so they would not ever line up.
But both great in their own way, but
yeah, I won't say anything bad about either one of them. There's a time and place for Olivia Newton-John, and there's a time and place for George Harrison, and when they overlap, it's wonderful, and when they don't, it's still wonderful. I had the devil of a time. Let's see. Was one of the big hair bands was covering "Smoking in the Boys' Room," and I had some kids coming to visit one of my stepchildren, and they were going on and on about how this was just the best thing ever. And I go, yeah, I remember back in the 70s when Brownsville Station released the original. And they're going, who's Brownsville Station? No. They wrote this. This is their original song. No. Their original song was 30 years before that. I mean, when your parents were not even dating yet, that's basically the situation it came to. And I pulled out a recording and played it for them. And they go, oh, that they covered that. And I go, yeah, that'd be really good if they had a time machine, because this was recorded in the 70s.
Yeah, who was it? Was it let's see, Quiet Riot that covered Slade's "Come On Feel the Noise"?
Yeah. Quiet Riot was a great band, but they never got any popular recognition until they started covering Slade songs from the 60s. And then it's like, boom, they're ultra famous. And I will give them credit. MTV would alternate playing a recording of Slade doing the song with a recording of Quiet Riot doing the song in the next hour of their little 5-song rotation forever. I tell you.
And I thought the Runaways actually did a very good cover of "Mama, We're All Crazy," and
Yeah.
they
They
did it proper.
They did. Well, I mean, you had not only Joan Jett, but you had was Lita Ford in that one in the Runaways?
Lita Ford was lead guitar, and
Is he okay?
He will be.
Okay.
He's still recovering from
sinus drainage, as usual.
Yeah.
And I have a
That I
peppermint
feel-
in my mouth.
Okay. I feel for you on that because I've been doing the same thing the last couple of days.
Yeah, Sherry Curry was the lead singer. I couldn't think.
Well, I remembered that. Well, I sort of remembered that Lita Ford was in there, and I knew for a fact that Joan Jett was in there for a while. Didn't know if they overlapped because it's not one of my fandoms, even though I'm aware of them, and I will look up and play stuff every once in a while. Oh God! Now why am I thinking of Susie Quattro?
Yeah, she did a lot of solo stuff, but
yeah, she did.
Much in the style of Joan Jett.
Yep. Do you know? Were you aware that her brother Michael was one of the most outstanding keyboard players back in the 70s? Although he mostly did solo stuff rather than covering other people's stuff.
Yeah. You see, well, of course, everybody knows Susie Quattro being, what was it, Leather Tuscadero.
On Happy Days, yes.
Happy Days, Pinky's sister.
Pinky's sister.
But there were, seemed like,
oh, Bill, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. We should not be putting you through this.
Let me go get my water and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. I've been kind of hacking like that too, so I feel for him.
Most of the time with me, it's right after I wake up till about 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's 4 hours of my life that I spend with a box of Kleenexes in my hand.
I do that too, but the last couple of days, it's been pretty much off and on all day.
Well, I'm not looking forward to the local excess pollen count season, which is right around the corner since, it's no longer, shall we say, subpolar temperatures here.
Yeah.
It's actually been comfortable at work. I'm hoping that spring lasts longer than 3 days this year so that I can actually put the greenhouse together and we can start growing vegetables that the stink bugs and whatnot will not eat before we actually get a chance to try ourselves.
Yeah.
Our last 2 gardens were decimated by insects. Well, not decimated, wholly destroyed by insects. The only thing they wouldn't eat was we had one plant that was a poblano pepper, and that was the only thing they would not touch. They devoured the lettuce, the spinach, the carrots, the tomatoes, the jalapenos, the bell peppers. They left the poblano peppers alone, and those are not all that hot. I don't know. It must be just something in the skin of the pepper plants themselves, the sprouts, the actual peppers that they didn't like. So we had plenty of those, and that the darn thing grew up like 8 feet tall. First pepper plant I ever had that was, grew up over my head.
Wow.
Yeah, and it had foot long poblanos. I mean, these are the ones where you get the oh, I forget what it is that you call it in the restaurant, but they're a stuffed pepper.
Oh,
Basically.
chile
Chili
relleno.
relleno. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep, and they're huge. They grow to be huge peppers, but they're just slightly spicier than a bell pepper. Basically, they're not extraordinarily hot.
Hmm.
They're not anywhere near as hot as a jalapeno or a chili or um, Tabasco. That's the little bitty ones. Yeah. Um, but I've got this greenhouse kit sitting out there on a pallet. I've just got to unpack every box and put it together.
Well, I
Um,
hear you. We're not where I am. I have a homeowners association, and we're not allowed to like turn part of the yard into the garden because the yards are not that big. It's patio homes. So I've tried growing stuff in planters. Insects look like
mow
somebody
it down.
took a weed eater to it.
Uh huh. Um, Now, before we tore down 2/3 of the small dog pen that we used to have and made it huge, we didn't know that the stink bugs and the ladybugs were just infesting the decorative vines that Lindsay had allowed to grow up on the edges of the fence. These were like honeysuckle, things like that. Perfectly innocent plants.
Mm-hmm.
They smell good. They look pretty. There's not much reason really to kill them. Just keep them from taking over the yard. It's not like it was kudzu.
Yeah.
But when I started tearing that piece of fence down and restructuring everything, I got eaten alive by the bugs that were living inside these
Wow.
these vines. Um, it was like ticks are more polite. Hell, even leeches ask permission before they bite you. These things just went, oh, warm, chomp.
I can remember when I was a kid, um, and I don't know what they were. They looked sort of like a variety of ladybug, but they were a different color, and we called them bean beetles.
Kind of yellowish.
Kind of orangey yellow, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they and Daddy, we had a hard time finding something that would kill them without damaging the beans and the peas.
Mm-hmm.
So I got
Septic
paid.
dust just doesn't do it.
No, and so I got I had so many beetles. If I picked them off and dropped them in a jar, I, so many beetles was a quarter.
Hmm.
And then if I found a patch of eggs on one of the leaves, that was because it was eggs. That was another quarter. So
Yeah.
I hated that, but it was I was a kid. I got money for it, so
Well, I wasn't too fond of collecting fireflies back in the day when Dad was working at Oak Ridge, but you know, we were not given a bounty, but we were asked to collect fireflies for a study in bioluminescence, and the folks at the lab actually figured out how it worked and came up with glow sticks.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, my sister and I helped with that. My brother hadn't been born at the time, but my sister and I helped with that. and it was a lot of fun trying to catch fireflies without injuring them. But then to put them in a Ziploc baggie and put them in the freezer was kind of counterintuitive to my mind. But
Yeah.
you know, they had to have. Um, well, actually, I believe it worked better with the living insects than it would with the ones that have been caught and preserved. But at least we didn't stick pins in them and put them on a cork board.
Yeah.
That now we have glow sticks, and I helped gather the research materials for those to be a thing. So
You helped collect the database.
yes, and I'm kind of happy about that, even though I'm kind-hearted enough to where I still feel guilty about depriving an innocent flying insect of its life. I mean, it doesn't have a stinger; it's not going to bother you. So.
My youngest stepdaughter, that I told the story about kissing the turtle and the turtle kissed her back earlier. One year we bought I guess you'd call it a bug box or whatever, that you could collect lightning bugs and that in. Basically, it was wood edges with mesh and a little rope handle.
Mm-hmm.
And the oldest stepdaughter really loved that and wanted to go out and collect some and bring it back into her room and put some little branches and leaves and twigs and stuff in there to recreate it. The youngest one, probably not even 7 at that time, said, "How horrible." And we're like, "What?" And she says, "Why would you want to do that to a poor innocent lightning bug?" She says, how would you like it if somebody did that to you and took you out of your, well, she didn't say environment, but out of your place, and basically, threw in what they thought represented your environment, and I'm like, wow, out of the mouths of babes. And so I very much respected her for that type of thinking and said, yes, you're right. Did I stop the other one from collecting fireflies? No, I didn't. But, it gave her something to think about that, kid sister came up with all on her own. She didn't hear it from me or from her mom, and I highly doubt she heard it from school. But it was just in her head that way. It was just how she thought about things and keeping things in its wild as opposed to other places. And I told her, I said, sometimes though, Jody, I said, there are times where some things have to be taken out of the wild and put in an enclosed area where they are looked after and taken care of. And typically that's if an animal is injured or something and know that cannot be released back to the wild. I said, those are a lot of the animals that you would have seen in the zoos and everything back then. This would be back in the mid-90s. And I said, that part about it, I'm okay with, because it's like the animal's going to a hospital or something, but can't go home because of fear of the other animals, doing them in. But
I have never heard a better description of high school in my life.
yeah.
You take these poor innocent animals out of their natural environment because they can't survive on their own. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of animals were they? Sweat hogs, Mr. Cotter. Sweat hogs.
This one time in band camp.
Uh-oh.
Oh Lord, no. It was just a punchline. It was not the lead up to a joke.
It could be a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, I could, but I'd probably get sued by Bandcamp because that's where my albums are going. Hey, wait a minute, that's our slogan.
I'm thinking hashtag crippled eggs might be a T-shirt. Between
I don't even remember which one of us came up with that malapropism, but I thought it was.
I think Joe Dog said that one. Now, the one I thought you said, and I know this was just me being not all there, was the Lunchables rockets.
Well, I did come up with hashtag crippled eggs, but
Yeah, and I'm thinking there's money to be made on that one. But Dan, Stephanie, I didn't want to jump out and jump back in just to say I got to go, but I got to go. Yeah, simple as that. I have a full docket tomorrow, and I'm not even a lawyer, but things that couldn't get done today because of a doctor's appointment that was literally useless to me and now has been rescheduled till later in the month. And so I have a lot of things to do before I can go have playtime with Laura and at the auction, and then hopefully see some people in the green room tomorrow night and see all of you Saturday night. But I'll just use this minute to say good night and thank you, Dan, for having me again. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming in. And
pleasure, Bill. It's always a pleasure.
It's always good to see you. I may not be able to be on Saturday nights. I may not see y'all Saturday night. I'm supposed to go visit my folks.
Oh,
I don't know when I'll get back. So
it'll be all right. Don't worry.
Faith, family, and friends in that order.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, both of you have wonderful evenings, and if there's anybody else out there in the comment land, and that, the same to you as well. And Dan, will hopefully see you tomorrow night at some point.
Yep, I'll probably be late, but you know.
Well, same here as usual.
I will do my best to get there in time to say something inappropriate in the green room, as is my wont.
Well, Laura doesn't have to work this Saturday for one, and that's why she's having anti-niece day over in Indianapolis. They go to the IKEA store. That's my niece's favorite store over there. It's like a huge dollhouse to her. And then they have a little restaurant in there that they love to go eat in that has all that European food. And
I hear the meatballs are made out of customers that got lost in the store.
Yeah. They actually rave about their meatballs when they go over there. That's one of my niece's favorite things to eat at the IKEA diner or cafe, whatever it's called. And then, if everything works out, it'll be Uncle Bill's day with Kayla on Sunday to go see Batman and pig out on some popcorn. So, but
wonderful. That sounds wonderful. You have fun. Enjoy yourself to the limit.
Well, we're going to try if it can all work out. And I got to get with Jenny and make sure to get her okay, and make sure even Kayla wants to go. And after having a full day, but I know Laura's wanting to get her back early enough because we got some thunderstorms there. It's supposed to be up in the lower 70s on Saturday, but we got thunderstorms rolling in out of the northwest. So she's wanting to get her back home before then because Kayla didn't do too good. Even at 13, doesn't do too good with thunderstorms. So anyway, but you both have a good evening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay.
All right. Good night, Bill.
All right. Bye, Candias.
And it's down to 2.
At least it's not an Agatha Christie story.
True.
In that case, one of us would be the murderer.
True.
And the odds of it being me are very slim. Hey, I give credit to superior intelligence or superior education if you don't want to go for superior intelligence. But, I know when I'm outclassed, best I can do is run away. Oh, yeah. In the horror movies, I'm the guy that goes, I ain't going in that damn house. I'm going over here to the IHOP and getting some pancakes. All right,
Yep,
y'all,
that would be
y'all,
me.
y'all have fun storming the castle. Right? I'll talk to the survivors later. Uh,
If there are any.
yeah, and you realize that would make us the suspect number one for the cops because we didn't do the stupid thing and go in the haunted house and get killed by Freddy Krueger or whatever.
Yeah.
Skunk reference, yes. Oh dear. Mm, well, okay. Let's see. Current events. Um,
You know, I
short.
never did get to answer Bill's question about the earthquakes
That
on
is not uncommon.
stupid o'clock. It
That
just
is
suddenly
not.
dawned on me. Go
That's
ahead.
that's not uncommon. If you want to answer it now, I mean, good grief,
Well,
go for it. Yeah.
I went and took a look at the USGS earthquake map, and I didn't really see anything particularly unusual. So, I mean, the Pacific Plate is in motion. We've got volcanic eruptions in various and sundry places.
Yep.
It's moving right now. I mean, these things they move and then they get stuck and they stop a while and then they get loose and they move and then they get stuck a while. And so right now it's moving. And so no, there's nothing. I don't see anything unusual there. I don't see. We've already kitty cat. You don't need to be putting your paw on the.
He's going to change the channel because I'm boring. Uh,
Well, he can't hear you.
it
um,
doesn't matter. I'm boring to look at too. So he doesn't
um,
look like a cat.
but so yeah, I don't. I think this is just one of those. Oh my gosh, let's stir up trouble and then get everybody reading our articles and scared half to death. So
Yeah,
they'll
well, as if
buy
there
stuff
weren't
and
enough
send us money.
doom and gloom in the world with everything else going on. I mean, good
Yeah.
grief. I've had people going, well, is World War III started yet? And I'm going,
No.
technically, no. Um,
But I
if
will say
somebody
that if it
decides to
goes,
be stupid,
yeah, if it goes on much longer, the chances become one that somebody is going to pull a stupid,
yeah.
and that's
Uh,
what bothers me.
and what I'm worried about is it's not going to be anybody that's actually in the conflict at the moment. It's going to be some bystander that goes, "Oh, it's my moment. Let me strike."
Yeah. Well, although I have to admit, um, shelling the nuclear plant was not a bright move.
That, if I may speak plainly, that was a dick move right there.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
That was. We don't care what happens about the people downwind.
mhm.
We don't care about the people in that city. And if the thing really is on fire, depending on what's on fire, we could have another Chernobyl. I don't know offhand what the design of that particular reactor is.
Mhm.
So,
Well, that's not a set of facts that I'm privy to either. So I can't even discuss it intelligently more than my intuition. But I do have, just a layman's understanding of these things. But that's not enough to get intelligent predictions out of anything. So I do have a firm grasp of history, though, and this reminds me of something that didn't turn out very well for the aggressors the last time it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of people failed to learn from history, so they've got to stand around and watch while other people repeat it.
Well, I'm wondering, I've seen some questioning of a certain aggressive leader's mental capacities. And I'm wondering where that's coming from, other than thinking that he has to be crazy to do what he's doing, which is not necessarily the case.
No, and you're absolutely right. This could be a chess game.
Yeah.
And he is thinking 5 moves ahead when other people are thinking 3.
Yeah.
But that
It's
would give
also possible that there are some false flags being flown. I just
I
haven't figured out whose and for what reason yet. There are a number of options.
yes, there are. There always are. And in that case, one errs on the side of caution rather than the other
Yeah.
way around.
Yeah.
Um, the the extremists usually wind up doing stupid things that nobody thought anybody was dumb enough to do, and everybody else suffers. And the people that are doing the stupid things don't wind up succeeding the way they want because they flipped the chessboard over on its side and threw all the pieces on the floor.
Oh, Chris. Chris is in the chat
Yeah,
room.
yeah. Hey,
And he
Chris.
makes a good point.
Yeah,
So
exactly. A calculated risk that might have been miscalculated. Yes,
yep.
indeed.
You want to
Um,
come in with us, Chris?
yeah. If you're home, otherwise, Stephanie and I will sit here and natter on
BS.
about we'll natter on about any hell. We'll play. I'll play Displaced Detective album tracks, and we'll just sit here and go, "Oh, that is so neat. I loved it, little birdie." I thought about that today, and going, "Oh yeah, I do have the rights to use this music, you know."
Yep.
And watch Facebook give us a copyright strike from using my own damn music. Oh Lord. But 15 minutes. Okay,
Okay.
go right ahead. We can vamp till then. I mean, and if nothing else, we can put on some waltz music and dance or something.
Well, you can. I can't so much do that anymore.
Well, we don't have to get out of the chair. We can chair dance. I do that real well. I had lots of practice.
I have a cat right here.
My nearest one was in the litter box a few minutes ago, and now he's going back out. He still hasn't learned to shut the door behind him. He can open it, but he can't shut it.
Can't or won't?
Doesn't occur to him, so he's a teenager. Basically. Yeah, he's 14. So, yeah, he's a teenager.
Yes, Chris. Elrond is right here,
Mm-hmm.
snuggled up against my side. I got him on camera earlier, but he was feeling camera shy and he was fighting me to for me to hold him into the camera area. So
Velcro Kitty strikes again.
yes,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
they
got to
are
be on my right.
they are a great comfort. They really
They
are.
are indeed. They are indeed. But he's got to get on my right side, which is right here, and I'm right-handed, so my mouse is like right next to him, and my elbow's up here someplace trying to.
Trying to keep from knocking him over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it makes editing interesting.
Yes.
So
Oh, editing. Aphelion's short story editor is he just changed jobs and moved, so he's having to step down. So for the next few months, I'm going to be the default short story editor
okay,
until someone else volunteers to take over We've gone through more. Being short story editor for Aphelion is like being drummer for what's the one from the movie? Darn it! I never can remember the name of the fictional band.
oh
Uh,
oh shoot,
yeah, if I
oh
hadn't said it, yeah. Uh, we haven't had one spontaneously combust yet, but that's next on the list.
Final Tap.
Final Tap. Yes, indeed, that's the one. Yeah. Well, it's understandable because the short story editor gets the most submissions,
Yeah,
and they have to do the most work, and burnout happens quicker. So people go, "Hey, I've got to step down. I can't do this. I've got life is happening here," and all you can do is say thank you for everything you've done, and please don't be a stranger. And Devin has said, "Hey, now I might have time to write some stuff and send it to you. And because I've been editor, I'm going to be a better writer." And I'm going, "Hey, yeah, that's true. That's true."
I'm
So,
I'm rubbing a kitty cat nose,
oh,
and that's I think that is the neatest feeling of that little short fur under your fingertip. And he'll just sit there and he'll let me do it for the longest time. He,
yeah.
he's a messer.
Lindsay's got one cat that's, well, he's feral for everybody except her.
Ah, gotcha.
So, occasionally I will be able to pet him, but only at arm's reach, and then only for a few seconds before he goes, "Oh, wait, you're not her. I'm going to go," and jump down and run away, go hide under the kitchen table or something. But I went out earlier tonight, and she had my little orange cat behind her on the edge of the couch, the back of the couch, and her little almost Maltese tabby cross feral cat right next to her, just purring away. And I'm going, that is such a beautiful picture. But if I went and got my camera,
Mm-hmm.
they'd both be gone.
Yep.
And Lindsay go, "Oh, well, no, 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 you didn't get my good side." I can't post pictures of my wife, no matter it. She's just never happy with photographs of her. She's just never happy. But,
Neither am I.
well, um,
And
I've gotten to the point to where, hey, if I don't look stupid, it's okay.
the older I get, the worse they look, I think. So
Yeah, And we're getting to that age. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm no longer Mel Gibson or Sean Connery, you know. So, as if I ever were, but I did have that little girl at work that when she found out I was going to be 65 this year, she goes, "No way! You don't look a day over 50." And I'm going, "Oh, gee, thanks." And I feel like I'm 18, and you're telling me I look like I'm 50. Okay. Uh,
Well, these days, I'm not sure what age I feel like, but because some days I feel beat up, and some days I don't feel spry much lately.
well, I don't know what age I actually feel like, but it's one that involves arthritis and lots of a leave. So,
See, you're lucky. I can't have a leaf. All I
well,
can have is aspirin or Tylenol.
mm, well, I can really have just about anything, but Aleve is the only one that actually works. I can take Tylenol all day long, and all it does is upset my stomach after taking way too many.
Ooh,
Uh, Aspirin, I could take one or two a day, and that would be fine as a blood thinner to keep me from having to go on high blood pressure meds. But as far as aches and pains in my wrists and my knees and whatnot that are getting kind of creaky at my age, Aleve is the only one that actually knocks the pain out.
I can't take a leaf any kind of way because even with a major meal, it will set off my IBS.
Mm,
My gut just cannot handle it.
I understand. I understand. Um, when we first started up Stupid O'Clock tonight, I had a cup of coffee in my hand, and I had a like a 2 ounce glass of Irish mist, and I'd take a sip of coffee, and I'd pick up the little glass and take a sip of the Irish mist, and good Joe goes, "That's not going to work with that coffee," and I'm going, "It works entirely too well, Joe."
Yep, yep.
Um, it's one of those things where, if I had some whipped cream and a
Oh,
couple of other things, this would be a really good version of Irish coffee. But
oh yeah.
I wouldn't even have to put any sugar in because the Irish mist is very, very sweet. So it would come with its own sweetener. So, but neither here nor there. I needed a cup of coffee because I got home about 4 o'clock this afternoon, maybe quarter after, and I sat and watched some stuff on YouTube. I edited a couple of short stories for the new episode, the new issue of the magazine that comes out Sunday, and I've got to do about three more before Sunday. It's not Most of the writers send us stuff that don't really need that much editing. Every once in a while, it'll be something. Ooh, that should be a semicolon instead of a comma, or that's the wrong. Well, tense is not the right
Tense,
word.
verb tense.
Yeah, that should not be ed. That should be the base word with a modifier after it. So
Yeah.
um, that's all I had to do today on the two stories I did today was just a couple of things where a couple of punctuation doodads, and then not sure exactly what to call it when somebody uses a past tense when it should have been, well, not past tense. Anyway, somebody put ed on the end of a word that should have been just the word with a couple of modifiers after it to make sense of what they were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of these folks were European, so as a matter of fact, one of them I think was writing originally in German and then translated it to English, which would have been a complete explanation for why
Yeah.
this word was. I knew what you were trying to say, but it wasn't quite the right. I mean, isn't German just about the only language where you could just cram stuff together and make a Franken word out of it?
Oh yeah.
And then, God help us, Russian, nothing has a gender except maybe furniture. I don't know. I'm remembering horror stories from other editors that I've read. The big name people that go, "This is tricky."
Well, what my one of the things that I see far too often is, uh, and this is almost always from newbie writers,
Mhm.
changing from past to present tense in the middle of things. Sometimes in the middle of the sentence,
Yeah.
often in the middle of the paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, 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 no.
It has to flow,
Mm-hmm.
and if you interrupt the flow, the fans go, "Damn
Right.
that!"
Yep.
To continue the simile.
If they don't defenestrate the book altogether.
That yeah. Um, I'm astounded I haven't done that to people yet. I mean, well, my readers, you know, up, down. Oh, it's stuck to the wall. It must be ready. Uh, like spaghetti. Um, where did that image come from, Daniel? This mind does some strange things. Unfortunately, it's no longer under warranty, so I can't go get a new one.
I hear that.
I'm stuck with it. I think the brakes need fixing, but
I think as soon as my warranty expired, everything started going to hell in a handbasket.
you got a handbasket?
Had to
We
provide my
we had
own.
to drink out of a puddle in the road. What is that thing from the? I'm sure it was a Monty Python skit that got redone several times, but the Yorkshireman sketch. Uh, yes, Monty Python did it first, and then some veterans of Monty Python, and I think it was Alan Rickman and Eddie Izzard got together and recreated it, updated it just a hair. And there were some other people that weren't in Monty Python that were in on that version of it. But it's still one of those things. It really hits a nerve. You've got these old guys sitting around in what should be a prime vacation location, like a nice hotel or bed and breakfast or something, and they're complaining about how they had it rough as children, and each one has to outdo the previous commenter. And it's amazing. I see demonstrations of that same premise about, oh yeah, you think you had it rough? We had it really rough at
We
work.
had to walk to school in the snow uphill both ways.
Yes, barefoot
Yeah.
with my grandmother going, "Ah, you're walking too slow." You know, as many layers of how can I make this worse can be added to it and still not lose the ability to keep a straight face while you're saying it. Oh heavens! But if anybody out there, um,
Shoot.
either 4 Yorkshiremen or 5 Yorkshiremen, I can't remember which. You can do a quick search on Google and find both versions of it. I will not tell you which one is better because they're both versions that I have seen are outstandingly well done, no matter who are the primary uh, comedians doing the routine. But just go for it. You will thank me later. Um, don't applaud, just throw money. Um, that came out of left field. I can't even remember who I stole that one from. Well, uh, good writers research, great writers steal. Oh Lord, I remember when my editor for the Spaceport Bar book had to ask me questions about all the literary references that I was using, and some of the stuff was things that she had never heard of before, and I'm going, "You're a horror writer, and you never heard of Carmilla or Lefanu or the Lost Weekend there with Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley and Lord Byron.
Yep.
What was the other girl's name? The cousin, whatever of Mary, and gave rise to like five, no, four different horror stories for the stormy weekend. One of which was Frankenstein. Polidori, the doctor for Polidori. So there were five, unless the second lady didn't write one. Can't remember which. There were five people there at the chateau. Oh, hey Chris, you got control? You gonna come in on your own, or I'll do it? There we go.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. You still had off.
There he is.
I can't do
Yes.
Thursday nights on Stupid, so
Hey, no, you don't have to apologize.
I snuck in a comment, but that's about as much as I can do.
Thank you. Thank you very much for reminding me of the name of Spinal Tap. I don't know why I cannot remember that. I make that joke a dozen times a year, and I still can, once a month, and I still cannot remember the name of the band.
I
And
actually saw,
I've seen the movie like 6 or 8 times.
I actually saw a picture earlier today of the band then, and the guys playing the band members now.
How many of them are the same people?
They're the same people. They just showed them how much they've aged since then.
Oh wow! I would have thought that at least some of them would have passed on by now.
No, actually, the lead guitarist is married to Jamie Lee Curtis. And you remember the show Smallville?
Yeah.
You remember the actress Annette O'Toole that played his mom?
Yeah.
She's married to the lead singer.
Lucky buggers.
Yes, and the bass player does a lot of voices on The Simpsons.
But the drummers still keep spontaneously human
Well,
voice.
there is no drummer because they keep going through them like a hot knife through butter. It just showed those three.
That's the reason the joke works, because we've gone through, I think, in 25 years, I think we've changed short story editors on average every 4 to 5 years.
You're doing good to keep them that long.
I know it's the hardest job in the entire zine because they get the most submissions. They've got to do the most. I mean, I have it easy. I write an editorial every month and pay the bills. It's good to be the publisher.
Oh yeah. I love that line from History of the World. I wish they'd made History of the World Part 2. Oh man, I wanted to see that so bad.
I read a rumor within the last 6 months that they were actually planning to film History of the World Part 2. Mel Brooks wants to do it while he's still got time. So that may actually happen.
The question is, will they let him write it the way he wants to write it, though?
Who can stop him? It's his money.
Yeah, well, I hope they don't, but I'm sure some folks will try to try.
Something come up, Stephanie?
No, I'm reading about that weekend.
Oh, and Villa Diodati. Yeah.
Okay, it was Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd he go? Her stepsister Claire Claremont.
Claire, thank you.
Lord Byron and Byron's physician
Polidori.
Wow.
And you want to talk about, oh my gracious day, because Mary had married Percy while Percy was still married to somebody else. And Claire was pregnant with Lord Byron's child. And Polidori was obsessed with Mary and trying to get her away from Percy.
And while also in love with Byron.
Well,
rumor has it.
And to top it all off, the weather was caused by the Tambora eruption, which was causing them not to have growing seasons in the summer because it just wasn't getting warm. So, I mean, holy cow. No wonder they were writing horror stories.
Really? I mean,
they were living through a horror story.
Yeah.
That weekend gave rise to the literary tradition of vampires.
Because Polidori wrote The Vampire.
Mm-hmm. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus. I can't remember what Shelley wrote. I think it was a very disturbing poem because that's his style.
Yeah.
I can't remember if Claire wrote anything. Byron wrote something that made fun of Polidori. And the one that Polidori wrote was basically based on Byron as his
There's the vampire, yeah.
Vampiric. Well, nowadays he'd been a rock star. sucking the life out of everybody around him for his own vanity. Um,
Heavens
Still,
above.
that was a landmark weekend there, and they still
Yeah.
managed to do some sailing.
And
Uh,
most of them didn't survive long.
no, no. Well, life expectancy was dramatic.
No, I'm talking a lot of them committed suicide.
Oh yeah,
Percy's wife committed suicide. Mary's child that she had with Percy uh, died shortly after being born. Her half sister committed suicide. Um, Percy wound up committing suicide. Um, let's see, I think
Well,
Polidori committed suicide. No, Percy drowned during a freak storm.
yes,
Polidori committed suicide. Byron took away his and Claire's daughter, stuck her in a convent, and she died there at 5. Then 2 years later, Byron died from a fever. And Mary and Claire were the only ones that lived to any significant age.
well,
oh, there was a movie about that weekend that was. If you can see the TV edit, it would be all right. But if you see the unedited version, it might as well be porn. Um,
hmm.
it was basically Lair of the White Worm. That was the title. Um, which brings in the worm, totally unknown to science, from one of our favorites. Let me go to the fridge here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm trying
Oh,
to find out. um,
Oh, oh, that reminds me. Although I don't know whether I should actually say this because uh, you're not allowed to read my Sherlock Holmes story, Stephanie, because you know you've still got so much more that you can do with your character
yeah.
in your set of timelines. Um, but Donna Carly Carlene just read it recently, and uh, she was highly complimentary of how well that I had captured Watson's voice. From
Excellent.
yeah, that I mean that was the trick that I was aiming for because I read every Conan Doyle and every pastiche I could get my hands on, trying to get the right voice.
Hmm.
And evidently I did. I succeeded. Lord only knows how well, but at least from the reader's point of view, I seem to have succeeded. So,
well, then I would say that it was well done.
well,
Sounds like it.
hey, I had fun with it. I have fun reading it now, even
Well,
though I'll get started on it going, oh well, there's got to be something I can fix in here, and before I get to the end of the first page, I'm sunk into it. It's somebody else's stuff, and I'm reading it. You know, um,
excuse me.
and I don't often do that with my own work, even though I write for me. I'm the audience. I write the stories that I want to read that nobody else seems to have thought of writing.
Yeah.
So that's my excuse. And this is one of those cases where I can't I can't approach it as an editor. I
Yeah.
have to approach it as a reader because it's just
Yeah.
I don't know how to how would you could you put that into words, Stephanie? I can't put it into words. Is there anything of yours that you've gone through and you've actually looked to try and see what you could fix and get lost in the sauce and just have to go through to the whole to the
Yeah.
end and you can't change a word?
Yeah.
I just
I
call it
I
writing something that you love.
I will still, I'm persnickety enough that I will still be able to find stuff to change. But I can honestly say that there are a number of my books that I read and go, did I write that?
Exactly. Was I conscious when I wrote that or did I write it in my sleep?
Well, is it the did I write that as in it's pretty dang good and I'm surprised, or it's
Yeah.
not
It's
usually up
it's
to my
like
snuff?
it's like this is good. This couldn't possibly have come from me.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah. Um, that was exactly the
that's
point
because y'all don't give yourselves enough credit and your own harshest critics.
well, I don't think I would have said it exactly that way. It's that the part of our brains that works as a writer can produce things that astound even us.
Yeah. I don't, when I describe my writing process, for me it's like watching a movie in my mind
Mm-hmm.
and then writing down a description of it. So it's, there's a certain detachment there anyway.
Yeah.
But then when I go back and I read it and I'm like, wow, this turned out good. You know?
Mhm.
Well,
Uh, for me, I'm the characters are telling me what they're doing, and I'm just taking dictation. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not even watching a movie anymore. They're telling me what they did, what they said, and that's it. I've got no involvement in it whatsoever except recording whatever happened.
Have you ever expected the story to go one way and then the characters tell you, no, I'm not doing that?
Constantly.
Holmes did that to me in The Displaced Detective.
Uh-huh.
He was very much in, the Holmes in my head was very much the Holmes of literary myth, in
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to do what he was going to do the way he was going to do it, and no amount of arguing was going to convince him to do otherwise. So
Yeah, but
now
that's
he was polite about it.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah,
Chris. What?
using Jeremy Britt's voice. I mean, how
Mhm.
can you disagree?
But yeah,
Um,
it was like I figured the relationship to go one way with him and Chadwick, and he informed me basically hands on hips. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm a gentleman. And I was like, okay, we'll do
well,
it this way then.
that's the one good thing about it. You have all that work about him to draw upon and the stuff that you've read and remember, and
Hmm.
they've done
Well,
movies and
that's the thing
TV
about
shows.
voice.
Yes.
Once you actually find the voice, it's like you step back and you're watching a play, you're watching a movie.
Yep.
They're giving dictation. You are merely
The
the
secretary.
instrument to convert that to typing.
Yes.
Well,
And
You're the
my
secretary.
yes, you have no intellectual involvement whatsoever. They take over.
So you're sort of like the typist and clerk court proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except you don't have to learn the special shorthand stuff.
Yeah. Or God forbid, the one that has to keep up with what's said in the House of Representatives and Senate. I feel sorry for those folks. They earn every dang bit of their money. My problem with my story is, well, I've got a story idea, but I've only got scenes and I haven't connected it all together. That's one of my difficulties. Other difficulties is coming up with names for things because I want to have and it's sort of like a line from Edding's book where they talk about there's a scene where um, Polgara is able to get the name of someone trying to take possession of it. He said when you have the name of something, it gives it power, and once you have that person's name, they don't have that power over you because you have the power of knowing that person's name and can counterbalance stuff like that. I'm thinking, that kind of makes sense in more ways than just the way she was explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you give a place a name or a character a name, then everything starts building upon it and creating the mythos of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, once a creation has a personality, they tend to be argumentative if you try and steer them contrary to that personality.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it's like somebody trying to force you into doing something you don't want to do or that you
Oh,
don't think is the right thing to do.
I'm a natural born contrarian. Easiest way to manipulate me is tell me something I can't do, and I'll do it.
Yep. Well, that's what you think? Yeah, I'll show you.
You'll never be anything. Watch this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Hey,
now that
hey, give me back my beer and watch this.
now there's some people that will crumble under such comments and predictions of their usefulness or what they'll amount to, and there's other people that will use it to feed the fire.
Hmm.
And
I think part of that depends on what time in one's life it's that statement is made.
exactly. And it also has to deal with the self esteem and the environment that the person has grown up in and been around.
Mm-hmm.
You could have two people, say there's a teacher that's, tells one of them, I think you'll be pretty good, and the other one, they might have some difficulty. It might be a learning disability that hasn't been discovered, or
Oh, it could be just shyness.
yeah, and they say like, oh, I don't know why I even bother with you. You're never going to amount to anything. It could crush that person, or it could feed the fire. It just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how many people over the years have really hurt somebody without realizing how much they hurt it. Because I know some of them think it will spur them on because, I was that way. Somebody told me I wasn't going to amount to anything, and did my level best to do it. And it backfires on them because not everybody acts the same way
Yeah.
and responds to stimuli the same way.
Yep. What for one person would be constructive criticism would be for another person a soul crushing insult.
Yes.
And I've had those.
Oh yeah.
And my self-esteem is not great because of it. Most people that they're like, but you've done all this stuff. Well, yeah, kind of had to fight my way through it at times.
Yeah, but also that person might have been somebody that even though they said that to you, you respected them or thought highly of them at one point,
At
and they didn't
point,
realize just the damage that they did to you.
Bingo, bingo.
I could I could name a group that did you wrong, and you proved they're idiots, and they probably still don't recognize that fact. But
If it's the group I'm thinking about, no, they don't.
mm-hmm.
But
I would bet any amount of money you care to wager that it's the same group. Yes, indeed. Um, and they're hidebound,
Yeah.
and they have a petrified version of their idealized character in their head, and they're not willing to accept that that character may have and probably would have grown and changed as they aged.
Yep. We're talking about the same bunch.
Yep. And I feel sorry for them. I really do, because they're missing out on a lot. Not only from you, they really hate the stuff I do, or did in that one story. And there are other people that have gone off in other unique directions that are equally valid and perfectly enjoyable, even though you or I might think that I wouldn't have said it quite that way, but they're stuck in the 1800s, basically.
Yeah.
At the earliest, 1925 to 1930.
Yeah.
Well, there are some people that can come to the realization that they were wrong about something or someone, and they have usually one or two choices. I mean, there's a possibility of a third, but most likely it's going to be actually having the courage to say, hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize. I hope you'll forgive me. And the other thing is to be so mad at themselves for realizing that they were wrong that they don't want to admit they're wrong, and they never will admit to their being wrong.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, folks, but we've gone on for just 2 hours now, and I do work in the morning. So this Saturday night we can keep going all night long, but Thursday night, no, don't think so. The alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m. whether I'm ready for it or not.
Yeah.
And I still have editing work to do tonight.
Well, I appreciate you letting me join in. I apologize for being late.
Anytime. Just as soon as you get home, jump in.
Absolutely.
I don't care if you're eating a pizza while you're talking to us. Just whatever.
Mm,
Yeah.
pizza sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I've got to learn how to eat with teeth again. I got my new dentures yesterday.
How do you like them so far?
Congratulations.
They fit really well, but I sound horrible. I have to learn how to talk all over again.
Sound fine to me.
Sound fine to me. I haven't noticed any difference.
I don't have them in.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I've spent the last year learning how to talk intelligibly without them. Now I've got to learn how to talk intelligibly with them.
Okay.
And then I've got to learn how to eat, because the other pair of dentures, I never could manage that. They would like, uh, imagine wearing 2 bricks in your mouth and trying to eat a pizza.
mm.
Yeah. Well,
I see, said the blind man.
that's neither here nor there. Uh, uh, it's closing time,
Yep.
folks. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Uh, love y'all. Thank you,
Yep.
Stephanie. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you. Some of you will see tomorrow night in the green room, probably, and hopefully we'll see everybody Saturday night, Sunday morning, stupid o'clock, and last man standing, when we don't have time limits. But thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.